recording.
Oh. So, so now, it's time to start the webinar today, or shall we wait a bit?
I think we can start.
Okay, so now it's time to start. And so, hello, thank you very much for your participation in our webinar today. My name is Satoshi Takayama. I'm one of the co-founders of our company, Fenetre Partners, and also an advisor for the industrial machinery and component sector in Japan. And here is another co-founder and the managing director, Yasushi Hasegawa. After I introduce our company, he will do the main part of today's presentation. And the topic of the webinar today is how to develop Japanese customers. Okay. Okay, so please go to the next page. Okay, so your goal is not developing the Japan domestic market, but Japanese customers located all over the world. Okay, but before we start our webinar, we'd like to let you know one thing. At the bottom of the Zoom screen, you can find Q&A panel. So during our presentation, if you have questions about our presentation or Japanese business in general, please use this Q&A panel to ask your question. Then we will answer to your question during the presentation or at the last part of the presentation. And if you have questions about specific industry or about your company's business in Japan, please contact us by email to reserve a separate online meeting with us. You can find Yasushi's email address in the invitation email of this webinar. It is hasegawa@fenetre.co.jp. We are happy to answer to your questions and support you for the future business in Japan. Also, after the webinar, if you'd like to have a presentation material, please send an email message to Yasushi, then he will send it to you later. And now you see today's agenda. It is so today Yasushi will explain why Japan, understand your customer first, reality of marketing and sales activities in Japan, options of market entry modes, case studies, and Q&A. Okay, please go to the next page. Okay, thank you. And with this page, I'd like to introduce our company briefly. Our company, Fenetre Partners, is one of the leading consulting firms of trade, investment, and international marketing based in Tokyo. Our clients are medium to large size companies, mainly from the US and Europe. We also have many clients of overseas governmental organizations to support trade missions and foreign direct investment. The main scope of our service is market entry support to enter into Japanese market, but not only by market researches or consulting, but by implementation. This implementation means, for example, business development and lead generation, and this is our company's strength. What we mainly do with this implementation is sales and marketing activities locally in Japan on behalf of our clients. So we work as if we are your local Japanese branch office. We currently have 30 staff and we have worked on more than 450 international projects since our company was established 17 years ago. Okay, then please go to the next page. Okay, and this page shows logos of our past and current clients. As explained earlier, we have clients of mainly European and American manufacturing companies and also governmental organizations. Industries of our clients are mainly industrial machinery, components, automotive, but we also have customers of consumer products. Then from next page, my colleague Yasushi will explain the main topic of this presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Takayama-san,
Hmm?
for your introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Yasushi Hasegawa, another co-founder of Fenetre Partners and also a managing director. It's great pleasure for us to share our insights and knowledge about business development in Japan. And today, we would like to start from the topic, why Japan? Because probably many of you guys know the economy of Japan is not doing well. However, still many foreign companies are interested in developing Japanese customers. In this section, I would like to explain the background about why still Japan is an attractive market for some of you guys. So let's start from some key figures about Japan. Uh, Japan has a big population and the GDP is also big. However, Germany took over Japan last year. Now, Japan is ranked world number four, but still, the economy size is big. And the GDP growth, it's uh, stable or almost no growth in the past few decades. Actually, this figure 1.9 looks higher than usual time because our economy is recovering from the damages caused by COVID. So, but you should not expect a few percent growth. Probably in the coming decade, the GDP growth will be between 0 and 1% every year in average. And now I'm going to explain some shocking figures for you. The first one is GDP per capita. Uh, some people, especially in my generation or elder, believe Japan is a rich country. But I have to say, Japan was a rich country. Uh, like in 2001 or 2, Japan was ranked world number 2 in terms of GDP per capita. But now it's ranked number 34 or 5, uh, maybe in the tier 4 or 5, together with Italy and South Korea. So please do not expect rich people living in Japan. Uh, it's like a legend and myth. Uh, we are getting poorer right now. Another negative figure is a median age, which is getting close to 50 years old. Japan is the second oldest country in the world, next to Luxembourg. So now, I have to say, Japan is getting poorer and older. So I hope some of you guys are still interested in Japan. Uh, I'm now explaining some negative figures, but later on, I will give you some more positive information. And this is the chart of nominal GDP of Japan. Our economy has reached a ceiling in 1990s and almost no growth in the past few decades. And of course, we had some small up and down, like economic crisis in 2008, uh, as most of the countries globally. And we had a big earthquake in 2011 with nuclear plant incident. At that time, our economy was bottom, but recovered. And then COVID hit, and now it's recovering, but it seems like a small up and down for us. So mostly it's like flat. And this is a chart of population of Japan. In 2008, our population has started declining. Now we still have over 120 million, but maybe 20 or 30 years later, our population will be less than 100 million. So, which means we are losing the number of consumers and workforce at the same time. Of course, it's giving a negative impact on our economy. And this is a very good example. to explain how our economy is tricky. And this is a chart about how many cars were sold. And in early 90s, 8 million cars were sold. But now it's been almost half. So our domestic market for automotive is rapidly shrinking. However, many Japanese automotive companies are thriving. Why? This is the reason. So domestic sales is almost flat. However, we have the almost the same figure of export. So half of cars made in Japan are exporting to other countries. And also, Japanese automotive companies are expanding their factories all over the world, overseas production. As a result, total production is growing steadily. The figure is somewhat old. After 2019, COVID hit, it dropped, but now it's recovering. This trend hasn't changed. So if when you focus on the growth of the domestic market of Japan in any industries, usually growth rate is almost zero or sometimes negative. However, if you focus on Japanese manufacturers, your potential customers, many of them are growing by global expansion and export. So when you think about a market entry into Japan, you should not focus on the domestic economy, but you should focus on your potential customers who might be rapidly growing by global expansion and export. And this is our chart about the overseas sales ratio. 20 years ago, that was 20 something percent, but now it's been over 30%. Maybe it'll be 40%, 50% in the coming few decades. So, which means Japanese companies or your potential customers in Japan are supposed to keep growing by global expansion and export. Those are some good examples. Manufacturers which have very high overseas sales ratio. You can find many famous Japanese companies, and they have 90%, 80% overseas sales ratio. So they are still manufacturing in Japan mainly, maybe, but they export a lot. At the same time, they manufacture everywhere in the world, like in North America, Europe, in Asian countries. And this is a very important report made by AHK, or Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Germany. And their Japan office distributed the questionnaire to their membership, German companies located in Japan. And they asked, which is bigger, A or B? B is sales revenue from Japanese customers to their Japanese subsidiary. So sales inside Japan. And A is global sales outside Japan. And almost half of German companies here answered A is bigger than B. So they are doing business development in Japan, but they earn more money outside Japan. And 20% answered A is 4 times bigger than B. So I think that figure seems surprising to you. So of course, still, the size of Japan market is big. Of course, you can focus on capturing that kind of sales, but at the same time, you will get bonus outside Japan. So now some of you guys start thinking you can go to Japanese companies in North America or Europe, Asia directly. However, in many cases, decision makers are in Japan. Of course, if you are selling cheap products or not very important products to your customers, local engineers are decision makers. They can make a decision suppliers or component parts or any. However, if you are selling a very important component or equipment, for example, in the case of automotive, autonomous driving software, some sensor for safety, or some eco-friendly filter something, differently, decision makers are in Japan. They'll make a decision. So, which means you have to do business development activities in Japan. Otherwise, you cannot sell to Japanese companies in Japan and also Japanese companies all over the world. And this is additional information about FDI stock in Asian countries. So these guys are investors, and these guys are destination. So Japan is the biggest investor to China, which means if you do business development in China, you often encounter Japanese companies, but decision makers are not there in Japan. And the very typical case is Taiwan. Japan is super big investors in that country, especially in the automotive field. I heard maybe 60, 70% of automotive related companies in Thailand are Japanese. So if you do business development in Thailand without anyone in Japan, that would be, waste of your resource, time, money. So if you like to develop your customers in such Asian countries, I heavily recommend you start doing business development in Japan. As a result, you can develop your Japanese customers in those Asian countries as well. So this is a wrap up of the first session. We don't recommend Japan in general. For example, if you are selling consumer goods, definitely Japan is not a good destination. For example, Ford. Now the president of the USA criticized Japan, Japan doesn't import American cars, but simply there's no demand for American cars. So that's why Ford made the decision to withdraw. Actually, Ford was trying to develop the market together with Matsuda on partnership. But they made a decision to withdraw maybe several years ago or 10 years ago. And you can find many famous names. L'Oreal, the biggest cosmetic company in Europe, made the decision to withdraw from the Japanese skincare sector. I think L'Oreal has over 20% of market share in Europe, but they failed. So the population is, decreasing, aging, and the consumer preference is totally different from any other countries. So it is very difficult to sell consumer goods without deep localization. Of course, there are some successful American or European companies like Procter& Gamble or Nestle, but they have a big team of R&D and marketing in Japan. And also, they manufacture in Japan. So their products look like Japanese. So I think many of Japanese consumers believe P&G and Nestle are Japanese companies. So that kind of localization is required if you like to be successful in the consumer markets. And this is our recommendation. If you are selling industrial products to advanced engineering sectors like automotive, robotics, automation, still Japan is a very attractive country. And if you are selling components, device, equipment, yeah, definitely Japan is the best country. So you should consider a market entry into Japan or business development in Japan. So I think now you got the overview of the attractiveness of the Japanese market. For consumer products, maybe Japan is not a good idea, but for industrial players, Japan is definitely very attractive market. And now I'd like to explain your customer because the decision-making system of your customer in Japan is very different from your customers in other countries. So let me start with the HR system. So I think many of you heard this term, lifetime employment. So for most of the Japanese people, working for the same employer for 40 years is an ideal career. Like, and usually, just after the graduation of university, we start working at the age of 22 or 3. And the way of recruiting is very different from North America and Europe. The way of recruiting in Japan is somewhat similar with military service in the US, like US Marine. So the company hire hundreds of new graduates at the same time, and they put the new graduate in their boot camp or training. So that's why their mindset.
Oh, sorry for the trouble.
I'm back.
Okay. Hasegawa-san, it seems that there's some trouble in the connection. So would you please maybe explain
Lifetime employment.
yeah, there's like 1 minute,
Okay.
temporary disconnected.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. So,
So please share your screen. The
okay, okay.
presentation is not shown.
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Probably I have explained the lifetime employment. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. And so let's restart about recruitment. Oh, sorry. Um, just after the graduation of university, we start working for a company, and the company usually hires hundreds of new graduates at the same time. And the recruitment system is similar with military service like US Marine. And a company put hundreds of new graduates into a boot camp or a training. So that's why that's our mentality or what
Okay. Also,
is
frozen
unstable.
again. Yeah.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yeah.
Okay. And usually we retire at the age of 65. Oh, just a moment. 65. And our salary increase like this. And some will be promoted to very higher level. So actually, our salary is set by how many years you've been working for the same employer, not by performance. I know it sounds stupid, but that is a reality of the Japanese organizational culture. So you have to be 40 years old to be a manager and 50 years old to be a senior manager. Of course, there are some difference in each organization, but in general, there is a HR model of Japan, which means there's no fruit when you achieve a great goal. So that's why many Japanese business people are risk averse. They don't like taking a risk because no fruits. So please understand this kind of culture. And another problem is if someone make a big failure at the age of 35, he needs to stay in the same organization in the coming 30 years. So that's why not easy for many of them to take risk. And this is our organizational culture. In the US, I heard top-down is a very, typical system, like Elon Musk. Probably, they make a decision and no one can say no to him. And in Scandinavia, very top-level people have to have discussion with very lower level, uh, a lot of discussion is required. But in Japan, usually in a big organization, the decision-making system is middle up and down. So middle managers have strong power and have to work hard, and but they don't have an authority to make a decision. So what they have to do is to make consensus in their team with their colleagues and get approval from top. So sometimes our potential customers ask us, please arrange meetings with the director of Toyota. But it's very difficult or almost impossible. At the same time, it's meaningless. Their role is like to put a stamp on the proposal at the end. So their job is like a sinecure or ownable position. If you are selling parts, components, equipment, or software, your counterparts must be middle managers. And even in the case you meet a very high level person, they will just say, "Now, wow, nice product," and he will hand over your name card to his subordinate. That's it. So, which is meaningless. So, this is our Japanese decision-making model, consensus base, and backroom deal. So the skill of presentation in Japan is useless because before the presentation, the decision has been made in many cases with backroom deal. And yeah, this is Japan. And this culture was made on our history and culture. And I'd like to explain some cultural difference among Japan, US, and Germany. And this is our framework to compare different culture in different countries. And Japan has a very high score in 3 dimensions: masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, and long-term orientation. So masculinity means um, our business culture is very competitive. So men usually sacrifice their family and private life to contribute their employer. And people don't hesitate to working hard late night on weekend. I know in some Latin countries, family is much more important than business. But in Japan, the score is super high. And then another high score is uncertainty avoidance. Japanese people really hate taking a risk. Actually, I'm the entrepreneur starting my own this company. People think, oh, he's strange. So there is a normal perception in Japan and long-term orientation. Germany has high score. I think it's very similar. We don't switch suppliers very often. Prefer working together with the same supplier for many years. If something wrong happens, we prefer having a discussion to solve a problem together. But in some countries, like in the US, China, people don't hesitate in changing suppliers or existing products. So Japanese people don't like taking a risk, and they like uh, working together with the existing suppliers for decades. And this is the reason why it's difficult to develop a Japanese customer. It takes a lot of time. And your competitor is very masculine. They do everything for Japanese customers. So you have to compete uh, with such suppliers. So this is a very tough market entry barrier. However, once you get into the business with a Japanese customer, these barriers protect you, which means you can benefit the long-term relationship with your Japan customers, maybe for 20, 30, 40 years. So this is the reason why still many foreign companies are interested in developing Japanese customers. It could be, beneficial to have a big sales in the coming decade. And this is the reason of such a conservative culture. In the past, or just 150 years ago, this culture was abolished. Nowadays, we don't need to commit a suicide when we make any fault or failure. Uh, but in the past, samurai had to do this. So that's why we don't want to say something unclear or uncertain. We like to, you know, be conservative. So maybe this is the background of our conservative culture. Still, we have this kind of obsession in our mind. For example, when I study at the business school, American business school, and Indian students complain to Japanese. Why Japanese don't ask questions in the classroom? And we thought, why Indian students ask a question which answers are obviously explained on the textbook? So I think that is a very, typical business culture. And now I'm going to explain some uh, the way how to develop Japanese customers. Uh, there are a lot of entry barriers. The first one is language. Of course, uh, some international business department of big company like Toyota, Sony, of course, many of them speak English. However, if you are selling technical products, your customers are engineers. And as far as I know, many of them don't speak English. Some may speak a bit, but they don't feel comfortable when they discuss something complicated, technical matters. So that's why you have to translate everything into Japanese language. And also you have to have communication in Japanese, which means you have to have someone working on the ground in Japan. And this is a sales process. So in some open and flexible country, people are, open and accept your meeting offer easily. Yeah, let's discuss, let's meet. And then maybe you have some discussion with some of them. But on the implementation, there are a lot of changes moving forward and backward, and some companies ignore agreements. So that may happen in open and flexible country. In Japan, it's opposite. It takes a lot of time to have a first round meeting. Uh, we need to reach the right person. Japanese companies are conservative. They don't disclose personal information, contact information to outsiders. But we need to pass a gatekeeper to reach the right person to have an initial discussion. Then a lot of technical Q&A happens. And in some cases, we just say, hey, you can have a meeting together with our client and you can ask many questions on the spot. However, they prefer having a Q&A before the first round meeting because in many cases they need to get an approval from their boss for having a meeting with a new supplier. And in the first meeting, they are not open. They just expect you give a presentation to them, and they also give a presentation to you, and you will have some Q&A. Then they will have a lot of internal discussion, and also they will ask you a lot of additional questions. It takes a long time. However, once you reach an agreement with the Japanese customer, everything goes smoothly. People respect any agreements, promises, and they work hard, efficiently. So this is the benefit of developing a Japanese customer. On the implementation, you can feel this advantage. Maybe profit will be much better than the country like super open and super flexible. And the communication. So I think it is very tough for most of foreigners to understand what your counterparts think. Uh, this is a framework to compare the communication style. So high context means important information is hidden between the lines. So Japanese don't speak clearly or directly because direct communication way is thought to be rude in our country. It's opposite. Here, Germany and maybe Switzerland will be here, Israel. I don't know, but you guys are very direct and logical, radical. I like that kind of communication way. Maybe because of my profession. But in Japan, actually, many of Japanese people don't like myself because I'm too direct and too logical. Uh, I need to pretend myself when I speak to a Japanese customer. So you don't understand what they think, but Japanese companies can understand what I think, and it's not it's not easy to have an interactive communication. And also, oh, sorry, Japanese people are not good at discussion. Probably you expect an exciting meeting with the Japanese customer, you know, on an interactive way, but it doesn't happen. They just ask your presentation and they will always say, let us consider it internally and we will get back to you. So you should not expect that. And then on email basis, you will have a lot of Q&A. But I know it's not interesting, but you are required to adapt to the kind of communication style. And this is about a customer relationship. In North America or Europe, the relationship between the customer and the supplier is somewhat equal. But in Japan, it's hierarchical. So manufacturer or customer is, stronger, much stronger than supplier. The typical style is carrots. This is an exclusive supply chain network ruled by a big manufacturer. It's very, famous in automotive industry. For example, Toyota has a group distributor, Toyota Tsusho, and tier one supplier, tier two supplier. And Honda, Nissan has their own supply chain network. And tier one to Honda cannot work for Toyota. And now, Honda and Nissan have announced they expired the K-rates. However, this culture still exists. And Toyota remains the K-rates in a very strict way. So that's why when you target automotive companies, we don't recommend Toyota as your first priority because it is really tough to start business with Toyota. So maybe Mazda, Subaru, Nissan, Honda will be somewhat easier than Toyota. So the relationship is like this. So in this case, tier one supplier can't say no to Toyota. They have to say yes, sir, to any request. And of course, sometimes they ask some impossible question or requests. You can say, it seems not too easy, but let us try. So the kind of communication way is required when you talk with a big Japanese manufacturer. They look down supplier. But the tricky thing is, in front of you, they look super polite and humble, but please don't take it literally or as it is. And they have different mindset. And another obstacle is the difference in the quality management system. So this is our example specification provided by a European company to a factory in China. The case of outsourcing. And this is our specification from a Japanese company. Products seem almost similar or same, but the way of making specification of a Japanese company is very different from any other countries. I know your engineers don't like this, but if you reject this kind of specification, you have no chance to get the sales from a Japanese customer. So if you are at the position of global sales or international sales manager, probably it is very important job for you to persuade your engineers. So now you've already understood your Japanese customer culture and what you have to do for developing Japanese customers. And now I'm giving you some idea about distribution because as our clients are sort of mid-sized companies, usually between 10 and 100 million, sometimes 2 or 300 millions. They are not big. That's why usually they expect their local Japan distributor takes care of everything. However, in many cases, it doesn't work well. So the background of that difficulty is a economic development stage. Probably you can get the meaning of this framework immediately. Actually, Japan was on the growing stage in 1970s, 80s to 90s. At the timing, our economy was growing, demand is growing, and many foreign companies were entering into Japan and form a joint venture or set up their own factory, as I explained, Procter& Gamble, Nestle. However, in this century, our economy hit the ceiling. So the market has been very mature, and in some sectors, the market is shrinking. And at this stage, usually oligopoly has happened, which means the market is dominated by limited number of players, strong local players plus strong global players. Under this circumstance, usually distributors don't invest in your products on behalf of you. So this is the background. So the response from your potential distributors from a growing country is very different. The market is growing, demand is growing. That's why local distributors are seeking new products to meet the growing demand. But in Japan, many industries are shrinking, which means they are not exploring new products. It's opposite. Some of them are trying to reduce the number of brands. So that's why the response from Japan distributors is usually uh, not proactive or passive, negative. So this is the background. And this kind of the distribution channel structure is another obstacle. This is the case in emerging markets. The size of players is relatively small, and it's changing. So when you try to develop distributors, I think many of them agree to meet you because they are trying to develop their customers aggressively and also trying to develop suppliers aggressively. It's changing, very dynamic. There are a lot of opportunity. At the same time, there are a lot of threats. This is a situation in a growing market. However, in mature market, things have been fixed through 30, 40, 50 years of history. The size of player uh, has been bigger compared with growing markets. And through the competition in the past few decades, the structure of distribution has been fixed. For example, you develop this guy. Uh, this guy will visit their customers here, but they don't go there because in the shrinking market, getting a sales from existing customers is much more profitable than developing new ones because the market is shrinking and things are fixed. That's why when you develop this guy, you can only access to those customers. So if you like to develop these guys, you need to develop another guy. Sometimes you need to have the second layer. It's really complicated. So that's why I often say just having one distributor wouldn't be a solution for you. Of course, it could be the good first step to enter the Japanese market, but your sales sooner or later hit the ceiling. So you need to combine different options. I will to skip this. And So the reason why you expect just having a distributor as a solution is low risk. Of course, you don't need to pay upfront, but you don't get the control. On the opposite side, uh, direct investment for setting up your own office and hire local talents, but it requires a lot of investment upfront. So our recommendation is here. You take a small risk, paying a small monthly fee to a business development firm like us, but get a certain control. That is our recommendation. Again, this is, ideal solution. You find a good distributor who takes care of everything, and your business in Japan keeps growing, but it doesn't happen. So again, having a distributor could be the good first step to have first market experience and low investment, low risk, and hopefully you can take advantage of their customer base. Usually, a distributor, starts contacting their existing customers when they start working with you. And if they get some positive answer from their existing customers, they will keep trying to sell your products. But the response is not good. Simply, they will forget about your products. So that is a typical unfortunate, which may happen to you. And this is some disadvantages about just having a local distributor. You cannot develop a customer relationship because some distributors try to hide who are your end users. And you can't have a deep technical discussion with your potential customers, especially at the beginning of your market entry. And again, distributors hide the important information, including contact information of your end users. And in many cases, market coverage is limited by application, industry, geography, or company group, like Mitsui distributors only sell to Mitsui companies, for example. And you can't control sales activities. Sometimes you never know the end user pricing. Your distributor may mark up by 50%, 70%. You have no idea. And the service level must be low, especially at the beginning. And your local Japan distributor is not interested in your customers, Japanese customers outside Japan. And the worst thing is you never know what's wrong about your strategy for Japan if your sales is not growing because they hide. Or when you come to Japan, they arrange a meeting with good customers as a ceremony or a ritual, and they do a lot of sugarcoating. They don't give you negative information. So this is a very important or impact for disadvantage for you. In the case you just have a distributor. Okay, let me proceed to case studies. So when you try to enter Japan or develop Japanese customers, probably you will start thinking about market research. But if you are selling industrial products, we don't recommend spending a lot of time and money on research because usually it's not easy to reach a key engineer in your target organization. For example, big Japanese manufacturers like Toyota has tens of thousands of engineers. So we cannot reach a key engineer for your particular niche product. Maybe it will take several months or a year. I don't know. So it's not easy to arrange an interview. And also, Japanese business people don't speak honestly to you without a strong relationship. And the researcher or consultants don't have deep technical knowledge. So usually, market research in the industrial sector is like scratching the surface of the market. So if you are saying consumer goods, probably market research will work well, like sampling and asking consumers. That'll be beneficial for you. But for industrial products, we usually recommend test marketing plus uh, strategy planning at the same time. So simply you call Japanese customers, have technical discussion, and analyze their response and set a strategy. We usually recommend this approach. The case one is a components for plant equipment from Germany, I think. And we work for the company as a sales and marketing rep. And the client provided us product training first. We translated all the marketing material. Our staff conducted research to identify potential customers, and we visited many potential customers for having a technical discussion. It's a very straightforward model, but we found challenges. Unfortunately, their products uh, can't be adapted to the Japanese voltage standard without a million investment. And this is too bad. The strongest competitor in Japan has advantages in both quality and price, which sounds not promising at all. However, through discussion with potential customers, we found a strategic market segment where the client can compete. So this is our image. Our German client here, client, Japanese customers. So they try to sell to Japanese customers, but Japanese customers say no to them as far as their products are used in Japan. However, these Japanese customers export their products to overseas market. It's a plant equipment related with oil and gas, so the target markets are Middle East and Southeast Asia. In this case, their products are not used in Japan. It's attached in the Japanese customers' products and export to outside Japan. So Japanese voltage standard is useless or meaningless. Then it turned out our client's maintenance network in Middle East and Southeast Asia is much better than Japanese competitors. Finally, our client won many projects in the export market from Japan to other markets, even though their quality and price are not better than Japanese competitors. So the client successfully captured the export market. So I think this is a very important case study for you. So, and let me explain again on this framework. They hired us a local sales rep. They keep paying several thousand euros every month, and they get the control. And we visited the. Let me share the screen again. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this we recommend you control someone working on the ground in Japan and get the marketing information directly from your end users. And then you can make a sales strategy for Japan. In the case you just work with a distributor, you never find that kind of way to be successful in Japan. And this is another case. What we did is same. And the challenges are wide range of products of our clients and also wide range of applications. And actually, we develop a distributor for this client, but the distributor is not very familiar with their technologies. Their strength is customer access in wide range of industries. Usually, in such case, a distributor hesitates spending their time for finding a market segment where they can compete. That's why our staff did it. Our staff visited many companies in different industries and different applications. And finally, we find this kind of target segment and distributor found opportunities in some particular segment, and they focused on them, such segments. And finally, the sales started boosting, and they will increase sales revenue from Japan. At the same time, they developed the chance to deliver to a Japanese customer in China. So they also captured the opportunity of Japanese companies' global expansion because their factory in China uh, requires the same products through her same Japan distributor. Again, it's same model, small risk, small costs, and get control. Your distributor doesn't do that alone. They hesitate spending their resources for planning your strategy. That's why you need to hire someone who acts on the ground on behalf of you to visit your customers and develop your sales strategy for Japan. And this is a wrap up of what we do. Here you can find traditional approach. Maybe it's suitable for a big company who can make a decision to invest a few millions immediately at the beginning of market entry to Japan, do market research, hire a consultant like McKinsey or Boston, I don't know, set up a big Japan team and do recruitment. So, but it's not suitable for most of SMEs. That's why our approach is more dynamic. Uh, Translation of marketing material. Sometimes we develop Japanese website and the product training are required, and we give you some market overview. Then immediately we start visiting potential distributors, customers, and also we do some lead generation activities on digital or visiting trade shows. And usually at the end of our first 6 months contract period, we provide a sales strategy and a business plan to our client. So the output of our 6 month project is not only report. Of course, the report is made on the actual market response. At the same time, you will have distributors and potential customers. Marketing material, Japanese website. I think it's more suitable for SMEs, mainly to mid-sized companies. And this is another our strengths. You can see our staff. Obviously, they are not very young, but they are very well experienced, skilled, and usually we hire people at the age of over 60 years old who retired a big Japanese company, which means they have a strong network and experience in a particular industry. And they've already received a retirement allowance from their past employer, and some of them have started receiving pension, which means they don't need a big salary. And that's why our professional fees are somewhat reasonable. If we hire 30, 40 MBA holders, our fees could be double, triple, or more. But that's why we can work with several thousand euros per month on part-time basis on business development on behalf of you. So again, we are happy to help you to find your potential distributor on business matching projects. But finally, your sales hit the ceiling. That's why we recommend our service related with business development. And later on, some of our clients have made the decision to set up their own Japan subsidiary and hire local talents. In that case, of course, we can help you to hire great talents or take care of administrative things. So this is our model and our client success case. So I hope you got some new insights and ideas about how to develop your Japanese customers. Thank you for joining our webinar today. And yeah,
Yeah.
this is the end of my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Yasushi, for your presentation. So actually, we got many questions or comments, and I've already answered most of them. So, it's maybe if you have any questions, maybe you can post your question and the Q&A panel. So please feel free to post it. And it's already time to finish the webinar, but if you have a few minutes more time, please post your question. Oh, yes, we have been receiving many comments. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. Ve- This is extremely informative, helpful to determine the suitability of the. Oh, thank you very much for your kind comments. Okay, so question, how do Japanese customers view European products? So, Yasushi, what do you think?
Okay.
How?
Uh, the term Europe sounds very wide, from north to south and west to east. So, to be honest, many Japanese people respect some quality of German or Swiss products.
Mm.
And maybe some high-tech products from Scandinavia or I don't know. So
Yeah, what about Italian products?
uh, from north of Italy, yeah, might be good.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much for your answer. And how to penetrate, maybe Yasushi, you can also find the question, how to
Okay.
penetrate a R&D group with a long-running project, that is to introduce an OEM product into their project, although they might have used to other companies previously. So how to penetrate R&D
Okay.
group of the customers. Yeah.
Prospecting hot leads is not suitable for Japan. Let's forget about our current project. Probably it's difficult to replace some competitors
Mhm.
by yourself in the short run. So you have to start from the beginning to foster a good relationship with them, giving a good information, case studies, visiting them very often,
Mm,
and then later on, you will have a chance,
mm.
like to get the information of a new project or something.
Yeah, based on my experience, it takes like a 3, 4, 5 years to start the first sales of the products in case of the automotive or construction machinery uh, component business. So it takes years. Okay. Oh, thank you very much. So many questions. Really appreciate.
Yeah, you
Uh,
can leave gradually if you've already asked the questions, but we try to answer uh, as many as possible.
okay.
European equipment for food packaging.
Mm,
Uh, Basically, not easy. You need to have some unique aspect compared with local products. I think it's common in industries. There are many similar products in Japan, and if products are similar, usually Japanese local products are cheaper than European products. Japanese customers prefer purchasing Japanese products. However, if your products have some unique aspect which doesn't exist in Japan, you can compete. So probably you have no answer at this moment because you don't know the competition in Japan. So only one possible way is meeting many Japanese potential customers, have technical discussion, try to find some unique aspects that your company has.
okay. Thank you. Another question. Okay. Maybe Yasushi, you can find how to
Um,
engage our
okay,
service. What's the engagement fee? How long is the
okay.
contract period?
We usually charge roughly 5,000 euros for 60 hours working hour per month.
Mm.
And first contract period is usually 6 months because we we can do nothing in a few months. And usually, many of our clients prefer extending the contract period. Some graduate several years later. After their sales reaching the certain level, they set up their own subsidiary. Or some of our clients keep working together with us over 10 years because they think uh, setting up a subsidiary is much more expensive than hiring our firm.
Okay.
And we
Thank,
prefer having a long-term relationship with our clients.
okay. Thank you.
No,
Ne Next, what do Japanese customers think about a non-exclusive contract when the Japanese company works as a distributor?
no problem. Uh, Many of our clients don't give any exclusivity to a Japanese distributor, and we
Mhm.
also recommend that. Uh, However, you need to make some promise about or some gentleman agreement. In the coming 2 years, you are or you have a virtual exclusivity in this industry, for example.
Mhm.
Uh, if you try to develop 5, 10 distributors at the same time and you ignore the competition in the local market, probably they feel uncomfortable with you. But if you treat them in the appropriate way, I think it's fine for them.
Okay, thank you. Oh, we got so many questions. So, oh, thank you very much for asking many questions.
Okay, civil contractors, in
Ah,
Japan, we call them Zenekon, general contractors, Kajima, Obayashi.
mm,
We don't have we have some connections because we worked for some IT companies who aim developing those players. We have some contact with IT department of those companies, but it depends on what products you are selling. Sometimes in a big company, a guy in this department doesn't know who is a key person in another department.
mm,
So it's difficult to say. But however, in any industries, uh, we try to develop a key person in your target organization. And yeah, probably we can find a way.
mhm. Yeah, thank you. Uh, is it challenging to market and sell to the research educational industry?
Uh,
Is it challenging to
yeah,
market and sell
it's
to the
very challenging. Probably your material is written in English, right? So you have to translate everything and you have to provide the service in Japanese. So if I were you, I focus on English speaking countries first because Japan requires a lot of localization. And if you are ready, you've already translated everything into Japanese, probably you can compete.
Mm, yeah. Thank you. Uh, how would Japanese decision makers weigh price versus quality? Do we need to compete on price or can we compete with quality?
Uh, Probably quality is not a good aspect for you to compete because your local competitors have a good quality.
Mm,
Probably their perception will be in the same range. Your quality, your competitor's quality, almost same. So you need to focus on some unique aspect. And pricing, yeah, now the exchange
mm,
rate of yen is very weak. Usually, European products are more expensive than Japanese products. So that's why you need to focus on some unique aspects. Otherwise, Japanese customers cannot justify purchasing more expensive European products.
Okay, thank you. And maybe some more. In my experience, you have to be patient with developing the relationship with your Japanese partners. You need to develop the trust and confidence in your product before your partner will be willing to risk their reputation in the market by recommending your product. Once they have this confidence, your sales will begin, but you must build trust. Do you agree?
Yes, basically, we agree with that. Um, Sometimes your potential distributor has a close relationship with some of end users. In this case, if they are interested in your products, they will cooperate with you to do some test marketing, like explaining your product brochure to a few end users and give you some response. Maybe the kind of test marketing will be possible.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. Next, we supply filling and capping machines which are customized according to the formats of bottles, caps, and to products which are going to be handled. We are looking for some local distributor who might help. Could it be you? So can
Uh,
we help? Yes.
February, this guy misunderstand who we are. We are a consulting firm of market entry and business development. We can provide you with some the service for finding an appropriate distributor, but we are not a distributor.
Hmm. Yeah, so we can support finding the distributors in
Yeah.
Japan, or we can work as a sales rep in Japan. Okay. Are Japanese customers attracted by demonstrations of products? So by inviting them to see a demo at factory or open house?
Yes,
Hmm. Yes.
differently.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes it's not easy. In the case your product is very big, but I recommend you provide a demo kit to your local distributor, or uh, you can persuade a Japanese customer to cooperate on demo, but you have to provide your products with very lower price if you expect that kind of cooperation.
Mhm. Yeah. Then I think the next will be the last question. Our target customers are Chiyoda, Mitsui, Mitsubishi Sumitomo Heavy Industries, EPC. So do you have the experience?
Yes, Simon-san, you can
Hmm.
explain.
We have worked on for example, uh, solar business. And I think we have worked with these companies. We also worked with the pump uh, companies, and we introduced these pumps to these companies like Chiyoda,
Yeah, yeah.
Mitsui.
And
Yeah.
also now we have some clients as a manufacturer of a big hydraulic cylinder,
Oh, yes.
and in the
Oh, the.
past, big gearbox selling to heavy industries. We
Mhm.
have some contacts, and yeah, we can help you to develop your customers. But it depends on how your products are super.
Hmm. Okay, so I think I have answered all the questions. So thank you very much for asking these questions. And if you have some other questions, please feel free to send an email to Yasushi. So now it's time to close our webinar today. So again, we'd like to thank you very much for your time to join our webinar, and please feel free to contact us anytime. And we are very much looking forward to receiving a message, answer to your question, and support your business in Japan. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, we look forward to working together with some of you guys in the
Yes.
future.
Yeah, thank you very
Thank you
much.
again. Bye.
See you. Bye bye.